Okay, it is now 6 o'clock, and I hereby call the February 18th, 2025 City Commission meeting to order. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor McCullough.
Yes.
Commissioner Adamczyk.
Did talk to her. She was coming.
Okay. Commissioner Opelt.
Here.
Commissioner Mata.
There she is.
Oh, Susan's here. Commissioner Minton.
We didn't hear you.
Amy, you're on mute.
Here.
Commissioner Opelt, we have 5 commissioners present. The quorum of 3 is met.
Okay, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
No.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
of
to the
America,
republic for which it stands,
to the
one
republic
nation,
for which it stands,
Indivisible, with liberty
with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Okay, we will move right into general public comment. Those wanting to make comments not related to any item on the agenda can do so at this time. Members of the public that signed up in person on the list at the podium before the meeting will go first, and then any other members of the public in the audience may stand and be recognized to come forward. If you haven't already signed up to speak, please be sure to sign in on the list located at the podium. Please state your name and residential address and/or organization you are representing for the record and for those listening or watching this evening. Each speaker has 3 minutes, can speak only once, and must stop speaking when the timer sounds. This section has an initial public comment period of 30 minutes. Neither the commissioners nor staff will answer questions or debate an issue. We will take your comments under advisement. Do we have anyone who would wish to make public comment? Okay, then I will close the general public comment period and move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Minton, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Okay, Commissioner Mata?
I just want to thank city staff for working through the weather and particularly thank the street crews for a great job.
Yeah, they did a great job. I just wanted to thank the folks that showed up. I had a coffee event this weekend at the library, had about a dozen people, and we had a really nice conversation. It was really great to have the opportunity to sit down and really work things out, and talk things out. So I plan to be having more of those more regularly in the future, and I would encourage my fellow commissioners to do similar. Commissioner Adamczyk.
Thing to report.
All right, and Mayor McCullough.
I would ask staff to get in touch with the people at K-State and let us know what they feel the impact of these tax cuts that are happening both at the national level and the state level. I am hearing a lot of concern. I don't know how much of it can be verified, but I do think we need to know as a city commission what's going on at K-State and with some of the things that are happening.
Okay. Yeah, on that, Mayor McCullough, I actually did reach out to our congressional delegation, the local offices, yesterday. I did have a nice conversation with staff at Senator Moran's office. So just speaking, from our perspective, it does have the potential to have a really big impact on our budget next year and moving forward. So I think it's really something that we need to remain in communication with them as well. Yeah, there's a lot we don't know yet. So we'll do the best that we can.
Presiding Commissioner Opelt.
Yes.
I did ask Wyatt Thompson, Public Works Director Thompson, to give you all an update on where we're at with snow removal, if you have a few minutes for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. We deployed Public Works street crews last night around 7 p.m. and they've been working all day on removing snow. It just stopped snowing about 5 minutes, at least here at City Hall, about 5 minutes before I came into the meeting. But they were moving snow all day long. We don't have any official totals, although we estimate that the total will be over 4 inches, which means we will be starting on residential streets during normal working hours with the storm. The snow, the reports from the drivers are that it's, a half inch to snow drifts taller than their plows. And so it really just depends on what the wind was doing and the drifting and kind of where in the community you were at. But we will be working overnight tonight on the primaries. We'll be treating roads, so hopefully it'll be a little less slick in the morning. And then we'll start residential streets tomorrow morning, and then remove snow from downtown and Aggieville tomorrow night. We had hoped to have all the residential streets a pass made through those by Friday, and then by next week it's supposed to warm up quite a bit, so that will hopefully melt things off a little bit. But very cold temperatures tomorrow. If anybody is out and about, just be mindful of the negative wind chill. In addition to Public Works crews, we did have other crews from Parks and Rec that were out clearing facilities and sidewalks and trails and other things throughout the day, and they'll be continuing to work on that this week as well. Happy to answer any questions.
I saw that Topeka has warming trailers for their workers. It is so bitterly cold. I hope we're taking care of people and making sure that they get a chance to warm up, and that's more important than getting the sidewalks cleared.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Wyatt. And again, double thanks to the crews that are out there. It is very cold. So, all right, we will move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are those of a routine and housekeeping nature, or those items which have previously been reviewed by the City Commission. A commissioner may request an item be moved for a separate discussion and consideration immediately following the consent agenda or at a different point on the agenda if desired by the City Commission. Does the commission have any questions or comments on any of the consent agenda items?
Presiding Commissioner Oppelt, I do. And I would like to remove item D2, approving resolution number 021825B from the consent agenda.
Okay, that's D2, Karen, did you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
I agree with Susan. I want to hear about that.
Okay. All right, so if there are no questions, then we can move to public comment. Again, we will now receive public comment on any item on tonight's consent agenda. Members of the public that signed up in person on the list at the podium before the meeting will go first. Then any other members of the public in the audience may stand and be recognized to come forward. If you haven't already signed up to speak, please be sure to sign in on the list located at the podium. Please state your name, residential address, and/or organization you are representing for the record and those listening or watching this evening. Each speaker has 3 minutes, can only speak once, and must stop speaking when the timer sounds. This section has an initial public comment period of 30 minutes. Neither the commissioners nor staff will answer questions or debate an issue. We will take your comments under advisement. Do we have any public comment on the consent agenda? Then I will close public comment period. And do we have a motion or any further discussion from the commission on the consent agenda?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda minus D2.
Second.
Okay. We have Commissioner Minton made the motion and Commissioner Adamczyk seconded. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Adamczyk,
Yes.
Commissioner Oppelt,
Yes.
Commissioner Motta,
Yes.
Commissioner Minton, Mayor McCullough.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
There's a lot of background noise. Is someone vacuuming or doing something in the in the commission room?
No, I think you hear the fan from the projector.
No. Okay,
It's pretty loud.
thank you. Okay.
Okay, so can we please have the presentation, or do we have a presentation for the, what is it, the Cedarhurst resolution?
Yes, Jason Hilger's deputy city manager. Stephanie Peterson is ill this evening, so I'll be stepping in and helping her out on this item, as well as Sunflower Flats. So Cedarhurst is a $32 million project that'll build some senior independent living cottages. This is a sales tax exemption through the IRB process to grant them an exemption on their construction materials. They did provide us a presentation. I can run through that. There's an independent assisted living and memory care community that they will look to develop. They're based out of St. Louis. They manage over 4,200 independent assisted living and memory care units in 56 communities in the Midwest and the Southeast. They currently have 4 in Kansas, totaling approximately 323 units, and an additional 69 in Blue Springs, Missouri. Dover Companies is a part of the Cedarhurst Senior Living ownership. Looks like they are targeting the seniors within the community, 75 plus, and see a need in our community for this investment. Phase 1 is an 89 unit, 2-story assisted living and memory care community. The facility will be right at or near 78,000 square feet. There'll be 22 independent living cottages. This says 31 million. I think the memo said 32 million in total project cost. They're looking to create 50 plus jobs, payroll exceeding 2 million, and be like a temporary insertion of about 180 construction jobs. So it looks like they want to start this summer, get their building permit, and have phase 1 complete by January 27, phase 1 opening by February, same year. Phase 2 looks like we're in the summer of 2028 with a start and completing that by January 2030, and then opening that in February. Cedarhurst is approximately located out here off Kimball and Berkshire. It is the tract of land that has sat along Scenic Drive for a number of years, just south of the Grandmere area, north of the roundabout at Anderson and Scenic. There is quite a bit of site work needed. They do need a water main extension, sanitary main extension as well. We did talk about some additional turn lanes off Scenic Drive, Kimball Avenue, not only into Berkshire, but in and out of this development as well. They did highlight the market analysis, identifying senior housing as a key need for the city, looking to add to that inventory. The request again for the sales tax exemption on construction materials. They're not pursuing anything relative to a property tax abatement at this point in time. Happy to answer any questions of the commissioners.
Jason, I'm sorry, I don't remember talking about this before.
I don't believe you have.
So this is kind of coming to us on the consent agenda without any real discussion?
We have been bringing forward sales tax exemptions on construction on consent that have been around the housing study and any type of need, with all units being part of that analysis. We have placed this and others on the consent agenda, but obviously two of you would like to hear more about it tonight. So if you'd like us to bring these to the general agenda in the future, we can.
And this is the resolution. This is just like the first step, right? We still have to do, to issue the IRB, we still have to do a hearing, correct?
So just for the sales tax exemption, the resolution really kicks it off. There's action at the end
Right.
that you have to certify the cost.
Okay.
Yep.
So do we know the cost to tenants in this this housing partnership?
They've always described it as market rate, Karen. It's not a tax credit or a low income or a restricted income type of unit. It's a market rate.
I know that this is consistent with the housing study, that we need housing across all income points and for seniors in particular, but I'm not comfortable with approving this particular tax credit. This is a market rate project that will be, I'm not interested.
Susan, can I ask you a question?
Commissioners, I do just want to say that we do have a representative from this project on Teams as well. It's Nick Dwyer. And if you'd like him to speak, he can.
Okay.
Nick,
Hello,
you
can
can
you
go
guys hear
ahead.
me?
Yep.
Yep. Hey, sorry, I didn't want to speak out of turn, and thank you, Jason, for running through our presentation. Nick Dwyer with Dover Development. Yeah, happy to answer any questions you guys have. The reason we're pursuing this sales tax abatement is mainly due to, well, a few things. Obviously, just the current environment for new construction across the country has gotten difficult with construction pricing and interest rates, and obviously in our industry, the operating costs and staffing costs for running these communities has become, very challenging, and not to mention our projects require a decent amount of acreage, and so in order to fit that, our land options here in Manhattan are pretty limited with some of the topography. And obviously the university having a lot of the land holdings in town. So we were searching a while to try to find the right site, and the one that we've come across does have a very significant portion of public improvements that we have to put in: the water main, the sewer main, the turn lane. We've got to run a couple thousand feet of sewer across some very rocky, challenging terrain. And so that's why we're here tonight, is to hopefully get some sort of relief to help offset a lot of those costs that are going to be prohibitive for our project.
Is this going to be a not-for-profit organization then, a 501c3?
No, we are not a nonprofit. We're a privately held company.
So you will be paying property taxes then?
Yes. Yeah. And, I can't guess what the assessor is going to, but in most scenarios on the properties that we own, it's definitely a six-figure real estate tax bill that we'd be bringing in to the community.
I'll go ahead and speak up. I think it's a great project. It fits our policy to do this. We need this housing. It's going to be a big boon for the property tax. In our own, any out-of-pocket tax is going to be very minimal, because these construction materials likely be mostly purchased out of town. And this is an incentive thing that we have out there to encourage people to come in, that we give quite routinely and is not a big cost to us. And like I said, I think it's something we need. It's a great project. It's going into an area where they have to do a lot of extra work to make it work. And I'd like to give them some support on this.
Yeah, I think, when I look at this, it's not just a housing project, but it's also has the potential to bring in some jobs. It has the potential to bring in those jobs. So, we're not only supporting our property tax roll, but also hopefully having some jobs. And, you know, Susan, I hear your concern about this not being kind of the workforce housing that we're looking at, you know, in that range. However, if we can open up some of these senior living units, then, you know, maybe folks who have lived in their homes for decades will move into those units, and those homes will be on the market for younger folks, and hopefully those older homes will be, you know, at a more entry level rate. So I know it is kind of a bit of a.
We'll be supporting them with the rehab program that we discussed last week. So,
well,
just joking.
Yeah,
Just joking.
I hear what you're saying. So yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead,
My
Karen.
concern was, this is a major project, and just to put it on the consent agenda, I really appreciate the people being here who are going to do the project. I am very supportive now that I've heard all the information, but I would tell Jason, in the future, I would like these things to be on the regular agenda, so it's just a heads up. This is $31 million. This is not something to me that we just casually approve. We need to hear some input, and we've heard it, and I think it's a good deal.
Well, it's not.
I think Peter brought up a good point about the jobs. I mean, literally, someone could have brought this project in and gone for an economic development grant based on creating so many jobs within a certain amount of time, and everything else with it. I mean, they're asking very little for this.
But I concur with Karen. I mean, I think that this is a project of this magnitude. I think we should hear about, and publicly. I mean, we are hearing about it publicly now, but it could have been passed on the consent agenda without a lot of discussion. So I would echo Karen's comment and appreciate hearing of the projects of this size and magnitude in the future on the general agenda.
Okay. Are there
Peter,
any other commissioner comments or discussion? Okay. Then we will receive public comment. Does anyone wish to speak for public comment on this item? Great. Then if it's okay, I will skip reading all of the public comment disclaimers and close public comment. Okay. Do we have any other discussion, or would anyone like to make a motion on this?
I move to approve resolution number 021825-B, determine the city's intent to issue industrial revenue bonds and authorizing a sales tax exemption for Cedarhurst of Manhattan Real Estate, LLC, Cedarhurst of Manhattan project.
Second?
Okay. Commissioner Mata has made the motion, and Mayor McCullough seconded the motion. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Opelt,
Yes.
Commissioner Motta,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitten,
Need to abstain from the vote.
Mayor McCullough,
Say that again, Karen.
Yes.
Commissioner Adamczyk.
yes.
Motion carries 4-0-1.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to the general agenda. We have 2 items this evening, and we will move to general agenda A, consider development agreement for Sunflower Flats.
Good evening, Commissioners. Again, pinch hitting for Stephanie this evening. I know Aaron and Garrick are both here this evening to represent this item. I would expect to hear from them shortly. Just want to reintroduce this. We've talked about this relationship with Manhattan Housing Authority for quite some time. We have worked on a development agreement that would effectively transfer a portion of a city lot for the Manhattan Housing Authority and their partnership to construct some units in our downtown. I'll let them elaborate and describe those a little bit more. To orientate you, 5th Street and Pierre Street, this is the city parking lot that currently exists across from the Boys and Girls Club. And in the presentation this evening, you will see a schematic that basically, on the consent, you authorized the plat. You also authorized on consent the IRB sales tax exemption for this project. But this effectively splits this lot. It's a little bit more towards MHA and their project side on the left, or on the west side towards 5th Street. On the right-hand side, this will remain a public parking lot. The MHA and their development will occupy this space during construction. So we have granted them the authority to use the parking lot, really the entire site, for their construction. But they will put back the parking lot that you see on the right-hand side of the screen in the future as a result of the project. The breakdown of the units and the building itself, again, Garrick Baker with McMillan Architects is here this evening. He can give you more of an orientation. I'm going to go ahead and let him do that now, and then I will come back and just give you a brief overview of the agreement and the land transfer itself. So, Garrick, would you mind? Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you again for allowing us to present on this. I'll actually go up one slide. So through the process of trying to get the replat approved and everything, some of the discussions that we had and the reason why it's a little 51-49, we actually have a sidewalk that will be implemented within the project so that the parking lot has some safe walking space there, but it is up to MHA to maintain that. So that's why it wasn't exactly 50-50 in there. The parking lot, we are going back with the exact same number of parking stalls, so there won't be any loss there. So that did check off one of the boxes for the design agreement. Within the main level, as we've noted before, we do have those 20 parking stalls in there, complete with ADA and everything. We do have most of our occupiable space over on the west side, and then some emergency stairs over on the east side. The only foreseeable change that we may have is this space in here may become enclosed for storage. We don't quite know yet on that one. Just the upper floors, we will have 14 and 16 units per floor, just to get to that total of 62. This open space here will be an elevated outdoor courtyard area for the residents. That way then it's just nice, private, quiet, and all to themselves. And we'll have something similar on the 5th floor as well. Just wanted to hit on that we will be hopefully submitting for the permit through risk reduction on or around February 27th. That way then we can also hit some other review guide or requirements with HUD and KHRC there. So hopefully we can close on the project either in March or April and then start groundbreaking right after that. But other than that, the project really, oh, yep, there's that courtyard at the 5th floor. This is very, very dark here. I apologize. But so really the design has not changed. This has gone through the Historic Resources Board and received very good feedback on that, as well as the planning board for that replat. So we have really enjoyed working with the city, and they've jumped through a lot of hurdles for us, and we really, really appreciate that. And we also have folks from OCM on the phone call as well, if they would like to make any comments. But I will stand for any questions, as well as invite Aaron up if he has any comments.
This is Aaron. I'll just remind people this project initiated in part because of the flooding in Garden Grove 1 and 2. So the occupants of this new Sunflower Flats are intended to be Garden Grove 1 and 2 residents. And there's a FEMA project on that end, and there's some things that the city is working on. But just wanted to remind the commission that this is that project where Garden Grove 1 and 2 residents will be relocating to, and it'll be subsidized. The contracts that are on those properties that are currently owned by National Church residents, we're working on transferring those housing assistance payment contracts over to Sunflower Flats. And do you have any questions?
How's
Aaron,
this?
I just would like to know if you're concerned about funding with HUD being under the, one of the things that they're cutting. And the state just passed some things to not support housing, so to speak.
Yes, Mayor, there's a bill in the legislature that removes the state tax, low-income tax credit, low-income housing tax credit. And that bill, as it was originally written, would impact Sunflower Flats negatively. And there's been revisions of that I think protect the projects that have already been awarded. But going forward, it does negatively impact redevelopment of Carlson, for example. Any future projects we're trying to work on. I've emailed the delegation and made them aware of future projects that would be impacted. But I would encourage the commission to also do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was actually watching the hearing, I believe it was yesterday, when it passed out of committee, and there was an amendment to protect projects that have already been awarded but have not started. So I think you're on that. And I was going to ask how this relates to Carlson Plaza. So I guess that is kind of a bit up in the air. Karen, I would say, yeah, we do need to worry about this, but that's kind of out of our control at this point. And I would say that we need to move forward with these things as fast as we can while it's available.
No, I agree. I see no problem with, the parking lot and the building situation. And if if you would like the city to write some letters in support, I'm sure that the commission would agree with me. We would do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've already contacted the legislators as well, so more people do it, it'll just help out some more.
This is separate from Carlson redevelopment. Carlson, hopefully, you guys did help with that with the EPC buyout, if you remember, a few months ago. We're still in the phases where that's HUD controlled process, and we're going through the steps there. But hopefully the state doesn't remove that state and low-income tax credit, because that is a major source of funding for projects like this. And it's a new program. They don't need to maybe eliminate it, but could tweak it to make it better.
I believe the Kansas League of Municipalities has supported both allowing already approved projects to go forward and also perhaps putting a cap on funding. So we'll see where that goes.
Yep. And Michael Snodgrass is here as our co-developer. If you have any questions for Michael. Michael's.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
No, because I just want to, one of the challenges this project are those, the HAP contracts from Natural Church Residences in Garden Grove 1 and 2, and that may impact when we can begin construction, because we have to get HUD approval to transfer those before we can actually start. Although we're trying to work, we have a kind of a drop dead date of sometime in June that we must start construction by. We'll be ready with your help. We'll be ready on our side to get started as soon as HUD gives the green light. But that is a potential caveat on starting right after permitting. Because they require those transfers to be either underway or in place before we can start construction.
All right.
And I guess final thing I'll say is the abode grant that we have is the Department of Commerce. That's a ARPA funds. That's $1.5 million in that American Rescue Plan funds that does have to be expended. So we're working with Commerce to get that hopefully pushed back a little bit if we need to, but the target is to spend it by this summer, and that's where a lot of the urgency around our pre-development has been focused, is to get us in this timeline so we can hit that that deadline coming up this summer.
And is there any concern about that money being frozen? I mean, is it in your bank account?
It's not. It's a reimbursement basis, but it shouldn't be an issue. But I am concerned about all finances right now, I guess.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you, Michael, for being here. Let's see, I guess, does anyone have any, oh, yeah, go ahead, Jason.
No, I appreciate the team coming in and giving their overview of the project. I just wanted to highlight the development, the agreement, the land transfer agreement itself. It does provide the community and the commission a little bit of protection by way of the land itself. Just want to make sure everybody is aware that the transfer really takes place after they've commenced construction. We put some dates in the agreement in which they would need to go get the building permit. Garrick has mentioned by the end of February they'll have that submitted. Then there's the really completing the project by the end of the year 2026. There is a trigger point at which we will transfer this property, and is when they have commenced construction. And that date is really tied into their ability to start excavation site work on the parking lot. So I just want to reiterate, there's a lot of conversation about funding, a lot of conversation about Fed and state level financials. They have some hurdles they need to clear, as Mr. Snodgrass identified, for June. So I just want to reiterate, these provisions are in here. So it's not as if tonight we're transferring that land. There are some steps they'll need to follow. They're very well aware of those. Those are all in the agreement. So I just want to bring that to the commission and the community's attention on this particular parking lot. So happy to answer any questions, but did want to speak on that before you went to the public comment.
Sure. Okay. We didn't have anybody sign up. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment on this issue? Okay, then I will close public comment. Commissioners, do we have any other discussion or questions?
No.
Nope.
Okay. Then I'll go ahead and move that we authorize city administration to finalize and the mayor and city clerk to execute a land transfer and development agreement with the Manhattan Housing Authority for Lot 1, Sunflower Flats, and for the Sunflower Flats project, and authorize mayor and city clerk to execute necessary real estate documents.
Second.
Okay. I made the motion, and Commissioner Minton seconded. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Motta,
Yes.
Commissioner Minton,
Say that again.
Yes.
Mayor McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Adamchuk,
Say it again, please, Susan.
Yes.
Commissioner Opelt.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. We will move on to consider guaranteed maximum price for the 12th Street improvements from Moro to Laramie and the alley between Moro Street and Laramie Street, and the preliminary design for Laramie Street in Aggieville.
Thank you, Commissioner. As you mentioned, we do have a GMP this evening that we've received from BHS. We've been under contract with Olson and BHS for several months. BHS was able to reach a point in the project where they could deliver a GMP of $5.4 million roughly to construct 12th Street from Moro to Laramie Street. In the summer of last year, we ran through some design slides of this area, and I'll just highlight those quickly. They're part of that packet in July, but just to give you a little bit of a feel for the lane of traffic that will travel from the north to the south as a one-way feature. Also highlighting the streetscape landscape elements along this corridor in adjacency to Fat Shack, Kites, Annie Mae's here on the northern end looking south. Obviously this image anticipated a hotel on the left. The hotel is actually going to be on the right. So there are some changes in that private sector development. But again, it narrows up here towards the south end where it terminates into Laramie. Again, just highlighting some of the pedestrian amenities, very similar to what we've done throughout the district, North Manhattan, and along 12th Street, out by Tanner's and Lucha and so long. Again, just really wanted to run through those quickly to get your feel. BHS did provide a phasing plan, and this phasing plan is very important, not only for tonight's discussion, but really as we progress, not only with 12th Street, but Laramie Street and the private development in Aggieville. There are a lot of dates highlighted on this, and it really speaks to the phasing plan that BHS has put together. They've shared that with city staff, they've shared that with the district, and tonight we're sharing it with the commission and the public. We can expect about 30 days of the intersection of 12th and Moro to be closed. We are running a substantial amount of infrastructure underneath 12th Street, so they'll need to get in there roughly May 20th after K-State graduation and occupy that intersection for about 30 days. In that time, they will extend storm sewer, water line, and they will prep that intersection and then move south into further discussion or further construction throughout the summer and the fall of 2025. They'll reach that alley point right around the August timeframe, and then September through the beginning of 2026, they'll finish that southern half of 12th Street. The alley between North Manhattan Avenue and 12th Street is also part of this GMP, and you can see the dates there. They'll start that in August of 2025 and hopefully get that done before November of 2025. We recognize these projects in adjacency to our businesses in Aggieville. It's going to be disruptive. Even during that 30-day period, we recognize Moro will not necessarily function as a one-way. We're going to try to get in there and create space for trucks to deliver and for patrons to park possibly on one side of the street certain times of the day. This is really going to be a sequencing and a coordination between BHS, ABA, the businesses, and the city in order for us to try to facilitate and keep as much traffic and as many deliveries as we can to these businesses in the most convenient manner. We're going to need to talk with RCPD just about the evenings and the weekends, because this parking on both sides with the lane of traffic, it's not going to function like it does today. With that intersection for that 30-day period, I could see Moro really after 10, 11 at night just not being accessible. I think we'd have more problems during that 30-day period. So we'll continue to talk with RCPD and get their reactions. But from May 20th to roughly June 20th of this summer, that intersection, you will not be able to drive through there.
Is there, sorry to interrupt, but like, we've talked about at some point, having to tear up Moro and resurface and things. is there not a way for us to put off those intersection improvements till then, when we're already closing it down?
Yeah, so when we started at Bluemont, we're actually bringing a redundant water line through Aggieville.
Okay.
Today, the water line in Aggieville runs east to west on Moro. So we're bringing infrastructure that we started 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
And we're bringing it through that intersection so we can continue to come south, hook it into Laramie, and then take it down to Fremont Street.
Okay.
So that infrastructure needs to keep coming through there so we can connect it and it's ready. Because when we get on Moro, that's the old water line.
Right.
That's the one that has to come out. This feed from the north will help us provide service back to the district while we take care of that other line.
Okay.
So there's a redundant feed with this whole approach in Aggieville. It was underserved. Just for correlation, the $5+ million in a GMP, about $1 million of that is utilities. It's significant.
So basically, if we don't do this intersection this summer, when we do replace the water line in Moro, there's basically no way for them to have water.
Well, there's just the sequence of events. It plays out better to bring that infrastructure down now, and it gives obviously something to connect into and continue to extend south. If you and Mark and the team would have to speak to this, I just don't think leaving Moro at this point in time is feasible, given how much infrastructure you need to bring in south.
Yeah.
But Mark can elaborate on that.
Because I mean, it essentially closes Moro. I mean, you could probably get to it from Manhattan, but anything east of 12th Street really isn't going to be accessible, right?
We'll have an opportunity, as I mentioned, to work with the district, work with Brian Johnson, our city engineer. We may actually be bringing people in or having them leave against the one-way.
Okay.
To make deliveries, to get their customers in. It's just when you think about Aggieville being really packed in the evening, that's not going to function very well.
Right.
8 to noon, it may be okay. Afternoons, it may be okay. It's a 30-day window. We're going to do the best we can to get people in and out of the district, but for that 30 days, we really need them to occupy that space so they can remove that infrastructure.
Okay.
Mark Bashamp with Olson, I just wanted to add, for example, Annie Mae's water goes through Fat Shack basement from Moro. So right now there's no water on 12th Street. So we have to bring it across Moro in order to solve those problems of actually individually feeding those buildings from 12th Street.
Okay.
So that all of our stormwater goes north. So that's the reason for having to come across Moro.
Okay.
Have we worked out the dumpster issues on the alleys?
Trash in Aggieville is a large topic. We have seen in current plans for the hotel a dumpster with a compactor, a dumpster area with a compactor that we're going to need to bring back before the governing body soon to really execute a relationship with not only BHS, the contractor, but with the ownership of the hotel. All our conversations up until this point have anticipated that dumpster really residing around this area. So it's still part of the plans, Commissioner, Mayor, and it's something that we'll need to come back to you all to get some more authority and talk to you further really about trash. But we are trying to create strategic locations throughout Aggieville where trash can be taken so we can address the dumpsters in the alley.
I think that's a really important part of the city's need for health, safety, and all kinds of things. So keep it, don't put it on the back burner.
No, we heard you loud and clear last summer. We feel the same way. We're going to continue to put the infrastructure pieces together, and then obviously we'll need to work on the management and the oversight of that utility. We've ran through a lot of information. There is further breakdown of that 5.4 million in a GMP in the packet. If you have questions about that, happy to go through it. I did point out like $1 million of the 5 is our infrastructure, really tied to our utilities. So we're making great progress and gains in the district itself, which is really the impetus for the TIF and why the city got so engaged with such a massive investment in this district. We knew we had aging infrastructure, and we also wanted to attempt to address some of the parking needs in the district with the garage. But this project really speaks to the water line continuing to serve the district. This evening, I also wanted to take a little bit of time, if we could, to talk about Laramie. Laramie Street is not part of
Jason?
it. Yes, ma'am.
Before you jump, it's Jamie.
Yep.
On just the timeline real quick. So it's supposed to start in April. I know Dennis is there, but we're gonna like start after Aggieville Showdown, right?
Yeah, April, and BHS can come speak to this a little bit, but April and May are really just going to be prep work in order to really hit the ground running after May 20th.
Great, thank you.
Yep. And do you want to hear from BHS any further on that, Jamie, Commissioner?
Oh, no, I'm fine. You
Okay.
can call me Jamie.
Okay. I wanted to touch base on Laramie. In the next 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, Olson should get Laramie to a point from a design perspective where BHS can deliver a second GMP. Originally, we had 12th Street and Laramie Street all part of a contract, construction manager at risk, where we were going to bring all this to you together. As you all well know, private development started shifting around, so we provided an update back to the commission that we were going to move forward with 12th Street and then kind of leave Laramie in the balance. Obviously, within the past couple months, the commission has authorized the hotel to proceed there at the corner of 12th and Laramie. So now we're back engaged with Olson, and they're going to finalize design. BHS going to work on a second GMP that falls underneath really the original contract here. And we're going to try to get that caught up so it can begin and ultimately end when that hotel is constructed and ready to open. So on the prior slide, you saw a lot of the sequencing and phasing I didn't cover. Tonight really is about authorizing the GMP for 12th Street, but it's providing direction as well on Laramie. And this is the site plan and the concepts from 11th to 12th. You see a lot of the extension and growth of the sidewalk area on the north side. We do retain some parallel parking on the south side, and then we transition to some parallel parking, somewhat like it is today in this stretch of roadway. The next slide highlights from 12th Street to North Manhattan. This will be adjacent to the hotel. The library is here. The Aggie Villas along Laramie Street. We do have some drop zones areas for Uber and Lyft in this concept, as well as a hotel parking zone that isn't reflected on the image here tonight, but that is being incorporated in the design. We also have some parking here along Laramie. So the palette, the approach, very consistent with what we've done on North Manhattan, 12th Street, and over on 14th as we turn the corner on Laramie by the parking garage. So really just looking for concurrence this evening from the commission with this layout and this approach so we can get to that GMP here in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Any comments or questions about these two segments of Laramie this evening?
You confused me when you said the library. I got lost for a second.
Not hail. Not hail.
Me too. Me too.
Which I think that means that's the point.
But we can come back to the schedules here, and you can see BHS anticipates quite a bit of construction starting here towards the November timeframe of this year, 2025. But most segments are between February and July of 2026. So again, trying to coincide with that August 2026 completion of the hotel.
I hope we're taking into consideration the big trucks and things that building the hotel, so we don't, build a street and then have to rebuild it after, all the work takes place.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Commissioner McCullough. And Olson has been looking at turning radiuses throughout the district the entire time. We spent a lot of time on North Manhattan making sure trucks could get, down that alley between Varsity and Rockabilly, and they'll do the same here just to make sure we have the widths and we're not clipping infrastructure streetscape along the way.
Right.
So we don't really know what's going to go in that handy corner, right? And we can't really wait for anything to happen anymore. We've just got to move forward with this, right?
We do, and I it's a great point, and I will back up, and we will bring the curb line more than likely on this north side, but the GMP will probably not finish that north side of the sidewalk, anticipating some construction. Now, I say it'll be finished. There'll be a sidewalk there, but it won't be to this level of detail. We will more than likely wait until that development surfaces. Now, it'll still be a sidewalk you can walk down.
Right.
It'll feel a lot like a sidewalk in town, really, throughout our neighborhoods, but it won't have all the amenities and the treatments that we typically have been doing in Aggieville until that development, we're hopeful, shows up soon.
Okay.
Mason, from my look back on the July meeting when we discussed it, it feels like the 5.4 million's pretty consistent, actually maybe a little bit better GMP than what was projected at the 30%. But I just want to make sure this is still fitting in with where we think it needs to be with that, the amount of money we're wanting to invest, that these GMPs are lining up there.
Yeah, and it's a great point. In July, I think we looked at a total of around 16 and a half, 17 million for all segments. And Laramie is a big chunk in that South 12th Street from Laramie to Fremont. So what you have tonight, the 5.4, it really is about a third of the entire construction project. So the next GMP is going to take us close to, that 16, 17 million dollar figure. I did highlight in the memo.
I think we just need to be really cognizant of that, and I know BHS will do their due diligence with it, that they're designing, or that we're looking at a project that is consistent with what we have left in that kind of cap.
Yep, correct. And highlighting the two revenue streams is all I was going to point out as well, Commissioner, in terms of tax increment finance, which I did get a balance. We are right around 1.9 million in our balance today. Our annual revenue streams are right at the $1 million threshold. So at it, all things, I hate to predict too much, but through 2038, having $1 million as a minimum is looking more like a reality. So that'll be 13 more years of $1 million as a minimum. That doesn't include the hotel, and it doesn't include finishing other space in Aggieville. So we're optimistic it'll exceed that $1 million figure on an annual basis for increment. That being said, along with the sales tax that was passed in 2020 and took effect in 2023, we have consistently highlighted around half, 28 million of the 56 million being dedicated back towards Aggieville. So between the parking garage and the infrastructure we put in on North Manhattan and 12th and 14th, our projections and our budgets are coming in as anticipated.
And so we'll fund this with temp notes probably for the time being and then pay it off.
The temp notes, the bond resolution will be on the March 4th meeting. Okay. And we are also out right now for some construction administration to assist city staff. We're with Anderson starting and some other projects, we could use some assistance. So we're out for an RFP on that right now.
Okay, so that would be kind of just like a contract deal, or okay.
Yep, it'll be like a third party representing the city down in Aggieville, since we're just stretched thin and have a hard time really hiring that, and we can roll it into this debt project and finance it that way.
All right.
Any other questions this evening? Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move into public comment. We'll probably have Dennis, you want to speak? I'll just go ahead and read this for formality here. Members of the public that signed up in person on the list at the podium before the meeting will go first, and then any other members of the public in the audience may stand and be recognized to come forward. If you haven't already signed up to speak, please be sure to sign in on the list located at the podium. Please state your name and residential address and/or organization you are representing for the record and those listening or watching this evening. Each speaker has 3 minutes, can speak only once, and must stop speaking when the timer sounds. This item has an initial public comment period of 30 minutes. Neither the commissioners nor city staff will answer questions or debate an issue. We will take your comments under advisement. So we'll start public comment at 7 p.m.
Is that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Dennis Cook with Aggieville Business Association, 1125 Moro. I did send an email to all the commissioners, and I wasn't sure how much time you'd have to read that, so I'll try to do the short version of this. Is that we've been very well aware of the project and excited about the project. We can't wait to get the whole thing done. But we'll take it. We know how it has to work. It was the reason we're kind of showing up at this moment is because until last Friday we were unaware of the 30 days of the 12th and Moro intersection being down, and the more we thought about that, as we were in our meeting on Friday and we talked about that, we were trying to imagine how cars were going to come, or how any vehicles were going to come from North Manhattan Avenue down in the 1200 block of Moro and how they're going to get back out of there. And then that seems simpler than what's going to happen in the 1100 block, because now you're going the wrong way on a one-way street, and the parking, the angle parking is set up in the other direction. So, we've been looking at all of that stuff. But one of the things that we thought about really right after that meeting was maybe, at this point, talking to you and making an ask. And that ask is, we've been very thankful, and we really appreciate that, quite a while back, this commission allowed to have, because of all the redevelopment and construction that we're doing, is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, we've had free parking in the garage. And that's helpful. We're still not getting the usage out of the garage that we would like, but now what we're thinking is during this time period, maybe we do that for that time period, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we recognize that the parking garage has to have their own system, and so we would encourage everybody. You still have to register. You still have to do all the stuff that you have to do. But I think maybe that this might be actually even a boost to getting people used to it, and it might really help us through this period, because our concern is even though we go, okay, well, it's graduation and the students are gone, there's a number of businesses, probably a majority of the businesses will tell you that their businesses pick up when the students leave, and this is a critical time for them. So we're trying to do everything in our power to see that we can't help them get through this. And so our ask is to maybe extend that parking garage system we've got for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week during this period.
Is that just during the 30 days that the intersection will be closed?
Well, I think that's the most critical time, and I think we could probably have a better judgment whether we need to do anything more after that. I think maybe when that intersection's back open again, it may not be as needed, but I would rather. My concern right now is that 30 days.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Dennis. Do we have any other public comment on the topic? Okay, then at this time, public comment is closed. Do we have any other questions or comments to the staff? I think we're looking for some feedback on the Laramie project. Is that right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. I think it's a good, thoughtful design. I like kind of how the parking alternates sides. I think doing that would kind of make folks drive through it a little bit slower and make things a little bit better for pedestrians as well. So I think it's a pretty good thoughtful design.
I
Yeah, I'm a fan
appreciate
of
it.
it.
Sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
I was just saying that I liked it. You can go, Susan.
I appreciated Dennis's explanation. When I read the letter from the Aggieville group today, I was concerned that they were looking for free parking for a year and a half, and I wasn't sure that I could support that, but certainly for the period of construction at that intersection, I'd be in favor of that.
Yeah, I think I'd be interested in looking at that as well. I did have a question. Will there be pedestrian access through that intersection during construction?
Adam Crowell, BHS Construction. Yes, pedestrians will be pushed to the north side of
Okay.
Moro and allowed access east
Okay,
and
that's
west.
kind of what I figured. Just wanted to make sure people can still park at the garage and walk across the block.
On
so.
the north side, they can.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm good with Laramie and also would support the free month for Aggieville.
Yeah, I think that's kind of we kind of have to do that. We're really putting them out a lot with all this construction, and it's necessary. But yeah, I think that's kind of a good concession to them, and allow folks to have at least some consistency with all the construction that's going on. They know they can park it in the garage and walk to wherever they need to get to.
Peter, I just want to make one comment. I mean, it's not us putting them out. We are part of the community, they are part of the community, and we are improving the infrastructure of the entire city. It's unfortunate that these businesses are affected. I'm friends with some of the people who own these businesses, but it's not, these aren't projects we're doing on a whim. We're doing them because the infrastructure is 50, 60, 70 years old. And we are helping them eventually by making these improvements. So let's just be careful about the words we use sometimes.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I mean, I would say I think that Dennis has presented us an option. I'm interested in just hearing what other options we have, from rerouting traffic, like just seeing what the overall plan is, seeing what that fiscal impact can be, and just having, if city staff can kind of get us some options for what we might be able to do to help.
I don't see any reason that we can't think about this for a little while, and it would be interesting to know what kind of monies come in from the parking structure in the summer, so we would know the fiscal note of this. I'm concerned that we're often getting sort of suggestions on issues that we haven't really thought about until we got the letter this afternoon. And I don't see any reason to not leave this till the 4th. I mean, we've got plenty of time, so let's just take it under consideration and come back to it.
I'd like to tie that into a discussion of the status of the parking garages. I was in the garage downtown over the weekend during the rainstorm or the snow melt or something, and I was on the ground floor level and the ceiling was leaking. And so I'd like an update on the repairs that we have proposed for the garages and the current uses. I understand that the police department is now thinking about putting their substation in the Aggieville garage area. So can we maybe build in a conversation about all of that? We haven't had an update, and we lost our parking director several months ago. We haven't heard an update on how her responsibilities are being handled, and if that has impeded any progress on the repairs that we authorized.
Thank you for that feedback, Commissioner Amchak. We can certainly provide that update for you.
Thanks, Danielle.
I mean, I'm ready to make a motion on the GMP unless there's more discussion.
Go for it.
I move we accept the guaranteed maximum price in the amount of $5,439,202 and authorize the construction of 12th Street from Moro Street to Laramie Street and the alley between Moro Street and Laramie Street from North Manhattan Ave to 12th Street.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Minton has moved and Commissioner Adamczyk has seconded. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Minton,
Yes.
Mayor McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Adamczyk, Commissioner Opelt,
Yes.
Commissioner Motta.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. And then we need a second motion on item 4B.
I move we approve the second amendment to the construction manager at-risk agreement with BHS Construction, splitting the 12th Street construction and the Laramie Street construction into 2 phases.
Second. Commissioner Minton has made the motion and Commissioner Opelt has seconded the motion. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor McCullough?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Adamczyk? Commissioner Opelt?
Yes.
Commissioner Motta?
Yes.
Commissioner Minton?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. I'll move to adjourn the February 18th, 2025 City Commission meeting.
Second.
Okay.
Who seconded?
Commissioner
Everyone.
Minton seconded, and I made the motion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Adamczyk?
Yes.
Commissioner Opelt?
Yes.
Commissioner Motta?
Yes.
Commissioner Minton?
Yes.
Mayor McCullough?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
Just a reminder, Commissioners, next week, our work session has been canceled in order for you all to attend either the afternoon session or the evening session of the KDM Incident Command System training.
And that is at County Commission chambers, correct?
I believe so. Yes, we will double check and get back to you with the right location.
Thanks.
It is.
Yep. All right, thanks.